All right, good afternoon, Arkansas. This Assistant Chief Forecaster came back here once again. I'm going to give you guys an update on what to expect as we get towards this evening and into the night and into the very early morning hours of your Monday morning here. So, the same thing we've been reiterating all day long, guys. The enhanced risk for much of all of northern Arkansas, and then the slight risk for west central, central, and then eastern Arkansas, and then a marginal risk down there in southern Arkansas. There has been little to no changes with the Storm Prediction Center's outlook for today here. However, I do want to talk about a couple of things here. First and foremost, with this risk, do not focus with just the tornado threat. I know that's the number one thing everyone's been focusing about today, and we've had a lot of questions about the tornado threat. Do not focus on just the tornado threat for today. There's the damaging wind threat. There's the hail threat that goes along with this as well here. So don't focus on just that. Not everyone's going to see severe weather. Not everyone's going to see a tornado, this and that. But just keep that in mind, guys. Do not focus on just the tornado threat. Keep in mind the damaging wind threat with this as well, and also the hail threat. So this is the enhanced risk for much of Arkansas. Same thing we've been reiterating all day long. Timing still remains the same as well. We're going to go over timing, and then I'm going to go over all y'all's questions. I know we're getting a lot in right now. Just hold your questions until I get all the information out, and then I will get to you guys' question towards the end here. So, with that being said, let's go and talk about it. So, this is the tornado threat for today here, okay? So, for northern Arkansas, this is where your 10% hatched up here. And what the hatched means is the potential, in layman's terms, the potential for significant tornadoes, EF2 plus tornadoes up here in northern Arkansas and into Missouri. There's already a mesoscale feature out in Missouri for the potential tornado watches. I'm expecting watches to start rolling out by the time we get towards the afternoon and into the early evening hours. We do not control the watches or the warnings. When they come out, we will let you guys know. That is per the Storm Prediction Center and the National Weather Service. We have no affiliation with the watchmaking or anything like that. We don't know the watches are out until they're out. So once we hear they're going to go out, then you guys will hear that they will go out. So that's the whole deal about that. And then the 5%, okay? From Fayetteville to Fort Smith to Russellville to Little Rock to Arkadelphia to Memphis to Jonesboro. Even though you guys are at a lower risk for the potential of seeing tornadoes, does not mean you're not going to see them, okay? The 5% is known in most cases, and you can ask multiple chasers. The 5% is known to outperform the 10 in most cases. It doesn't mean you're not going to see anything up here. It just means if you're in this 5%, do not let your guard down. Have your phone on for alerts. Have your phone tuned in to us, Arkansas Weather Watchers. We'll be live if there's tornado warnings, etc. this evening and into the overnight hours here. So just keep that in mind in this area. The 5% is known to overperform in most cases versus the 10%. So just keep that in mind. That's why I tell you guys all the time to never let your guard down in that 5%. Also, the 2% down here in southern Arkansas. Now, I think southern Arkansas, the severe threat will be much lower by the time it gets into southern Arkansas. So we're talking from Nashville to Texarkana to Camden to El Dorado to Monticello. I think the risk will be much lower down there. However, still don't let your guard down by the time we get towards the overnight hours down there in southern Arkansas. So that's the tornado threat for today. I'm also going to show you guys this. So this is what I was talking about before, the significant tornado potential up here from Rogers to Harrison over towards Salem to Melbourne. Now includes Cherokee Village here. So this risk has been expanded to the east, and it includes a greater area from over here in Benton County all the way over towards Cherokee Village up here in northern Arkansas. So that's the hatched area for the potential of seeing significant tornadoes up here in northern Arkansas. Now, the wind potential, the 75 mile per hour wind potential, the significant damaging wind potential includes much of northern Arkansas at this point, but do not let your guard down if you are outside of this area, okay? I'm going to go over to the wind potential real quick. All right, so this is the wind area. So the enhanced risk for the wind, the 30%, goes from Fayetteville to Fort Smith down to just north of the metro, over towards Bald Knob, over towards Jonesboro. And then the 15% from Mena to DeQueen to Little Rock to Pine Bluff, over towards Memphis, and then your marginal risk down here in southern Arkansas. I think if anybody has a low threat for severe weather for today, it's our folks down here in southern Arkansas. But still, even then, keep your phones on for alerts during the overnight hours down there in southern Arkansas. And then, instead of 40 hail threat, greater up here in northwest Arkansas because of the fact that you guys might be starting off as supercells up there in northern Arkansas here. So what we're going to do, we're going to go over to our Futurecast model real quick. So let's talk about Futurecast for just a moment. Give me 1 second. I'm going to go ahead and get that information up for you guys at this point here. So Futurecast run is relatively the same from earlier, but I'm going to go over timing because that's the number one thing that's on our comments right now is the timing. So let's talk about it real quickly here. So right around 5 o'clock this afternoon, I'm going to take it out to right here. This is when we should start seeing storms erupt across northeastern Oklahoma and into northwestern Arkansas by this point. I'm going to change the header out of this real quickly here. So, okay, so there's the Futurecast at this point. Okay, so this is where we're going to start seeing initiation up here in northwest Arkansas. I fully anticipate watches to start rolling out by the time we get towards this afternoon. All right, so this is 5 o'clock. If you're wondering about timing, this is the time now to pay attention because this is going to go over everything. All right, 6 o'clock. All right, so 6 o'clock, it will be moving into northwestern Arkansas, northeast Oklahoma, and into southern Missouri. Do not go solely off of this computer model because it's a computer model. It's not going to nail the radar right off the bat. It's going to be like a representation of what radar could look like by the time we get towards this afternoon and this evening. So at 6 o'clock, we're looking for storms from northwest Arkansas, southwest Missouri, down to northeastern Oklahoma, okay? 7 o'clock, more the same, okay? So now we're talking from Fort Smith to Mount Home to Leslie down to just north of Athens at this point here. So, as I said before, just keep this in mind. Do not go off of one computer model run. Just it's going to vary on how radar looks by the time we get towards this evening, but this is the general area that we're going to look out for storms as we get towards this evening here, okay? So 8 o'clock, more the same here. So 8 o'clock, now we're starting to talk about north central Arkansas. So you use some cities to look out for. So we're talking from Oxford to Mount Home, down towards Russellville, the Darnell area, Danville, over towards Fort Smith, the Plateau area over here in eastern Oklahoma. This is the area that we're going to have to watch very closely here as we get towards this evening here. So this is right around 8 o'clock. All right. 9 o'clock, more the same. It's going to start shifting down into central Arkansas here. So the one thing I'm concerned with, and I'm seeing this with the HR, and HR has been kind of back and forth on how the storm mode is going to look. But the more isolated these storms stay, the better shot you're going to have for that tornado threat. And I'm going to overlay the tornado threat real quickly and show you guys what I mean. So this is the tornado threat, and this is 9 o'clock this evening, okay? Your higher threat's up here, but this is the 5%. All right, from Mena to Russellville, the Darnell area, Atkins, up towards Clinton, up towards Corning, okay? That area, that's what I'm saying before. Do not let your guard down as we get towards this evening here. We'll have to watch these storms closely because there's going to be a lot of rotation for these storms to work with as we get towards this evening here, all right? 10 o'clock, more the same. This is going to start pushing down into central Arkansas by this point here. So we will have to wait and see. Radar is going to vary by the time we get towards this evening here. All right, I've seen HR. HR does its best to try to mimic how radar looks. It's not going to be 100% accurate. So we'll have to watch and see what happens. But the more isolated this stays, the better shot you're going to have for seeing a primarily tornado threat versus a damaging wind threat. But we'll keep an eye on that as we get towards this evening here. Now, more the same as we get towards 11 o'clock. More supercell development down here in southern and southwest Arkansas. Some development up here in northern Arkansas as well, northeastern Arkansas. So I'm going to zoom this out and show you guys this. So this is for southwest Arkansas, central, and then northeastern Arkansas up here. And then by the time we get towards the midnight hour, okay? So right now, if you go with HR, it follows right what our timing map is. 6 to 9 up here, right around 11 to midnight to central Arkansas, and then southern Arkansas, about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning going into the 7 and 8 o'clock time frame here. So that's what we're looking at right now. This is right around midnight. But the one thing that's concerning me is this line of storms is broken apart. The more it stays broken apart like this and they stay isolated, that's where your tornado threat's going to lie as we get towards this evening and into the overnight hours. You want this thing to come through as a line. Yes, you increase your damaging wind potential, but you want this to come as a singular line because you decrease your torque potential and you increase your wind potential, okay? In this situation, when it's broken up like this, that's where you will have your tornado potential as we get towards this evening and into the overnight hours here. So 1 o'clock in the morning, we're on the same here. Now, I think by this point, by the time it gets down into southern Arkansas, the threat will be much lower. These storms will be weakening as they get into southern Arkansas. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. There's a great amount of instability, as you guys saw on the page a second ago. There's a lot of instability in eastern Arkansas right now. So we're going to have to watch that situation closely. But the more I'm seeing these broken cells in southern Arkansas and up here in northeastern Arkansas, that's what's concerning me for the tornado threat later on top of the damaging wind threat here. And then by the time we get towards 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, HR has kind of sped up on me a little bit. Has a line down in southern Arkansas now about 2 a.m. So we close out this severe threat by the time we get towards 4 a.m. In the morning here. So it should be all set and done by the time that 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning time frame before school gets going, before that early morning rush gets going across Arkansas here. So those are the primary threats for today. Damaging winds, large hail, potential tornadoes. Some could be strong up there in northern Arkansas here. So what I'm going to do at this point, I'm going to go back here, all right? And I'm going to talk to you guys about this real quickly, and then I'm going to jump on questions, and then that will be it for right now. And then after this live stream, that'll be it until the severe weather coverage starts as we get towards this evening here. So nighttime safety. Have a way to get alerts if you're sleeping, okay? And this is coming in during the overnight hours. Make sure you have your weather radio on. If you don't have a weather radio on, keep your phone on. Keep your phone on. That way you can hear alerts. Notifications will be sent out if we go live on both Facebook and on YouTube. All right, so follow our YouTube page as well. All right. Also, flashlight. If you lose power, just keep that on, but stay away from windows. A general reminder, stay away from windows, get into a interior room, always on the lowest floor. If you live in a mobile home, you need to get to a safer place. You need to try to say, hey, if I can stay with a buddy tonight and stay to your shelter, mobile home is not the best place to be whenever severe weather is on tap for Arkansas during this time of year. So same thing, but you should have a family plan ready to go. I told you guys this last night. Have a plan ready to go for tonight here. That way, if a tornado warning happens, severe thunderstorm warning happens, you guys know where to go whenever those warnings come out here. So also, one more thing that I want to stress to you guys, and we talk about this a lot, all right, is your counties. I'm going to get back to timing in just a bit. Your counties. You got to know where your counties are, and you got to know your surrounding counties, because I know what's going to happen when we go live for tornado warnings later on. There's going to be a lot of people that's going to ask where my county is and this and that. You got to know where your counties are, guys. It's very, very important. It's not only for us, for here Arkansas Weather Watchers, it's for your safety as well, because if a warning goes out and you don't know where your county is, that's putting you and the people around you at risk. So you got to know where your counties are, guys. Very, very important as we get towards this evening here, guys. So this will be on the page after this live stream. It's not a call out to anybody, but it's just to reiterate, because of the fact that we get a lot of questions about counties whenever there's a warning going on. All right, so you got to know where your counties are, guys, at this point here. So we're going to go over the timing. I'm going to leave it on this screen, and I'm going to get to questions here. So let me go over this real quickly here. All right, so some are talking about the 50-degree dew points, which could lower our threat in central Arkansas. I addressed it last night. Moisture at this point is not a concern. Dew points right now are well into the 60s here. Matter of fact, I can check that at this point here. So moisture at this point doesn't seem to be a big issue at this point here. And even if it's upper 50s, low 60s, you can still get severe weather, especially this time of the year when you have a lot of wind shear to work with. So you can still get severe weather even with your dew points not in the 70s. All right, so that's something that we're going to monitor. If that happens and it lowers the severe threat, that's great. That's what I'm saying for areas south of the metro. For southern Arkansas, I think the risk is lower. However, I think we're still on tap for much of Arkansas for today as we get towards the afternoon and into this evening here. So let Let me see here. Conway, same thing. Also, John, great point. Guys, the hatch risk is not just for the tornado potential. It's for the damaging wind potential as well. So we're talking 74 mile per hour winds or higher for the significant damaging wind potential as well here. So it's not limited to just the tornado threat. That's one thing I want to stress to you guys. Don't focus on the tornado threat. There's a lot more to this risk than just a tornado threat. There's damaging wind potential, which can do damage, by the way. It can bring down power lines. It can break windows, etc. So just keep that in mind at this point. It's not limited to just a tornado threat. It's the damaging wind threat that goes along with this as well here. So let me go ahead and go over questions real quickly. This is going to be a quick live stream, guys. Just kind of reiterating everything that's going on the page at this point here. So the threat for tornadoes, okay? Higher threat, northern Arkansas. That's the area of concern for the potential strong tornadoes. The 5%, all right, for much of Arkansas. It's not a high risk for tornadoes, okay? It's a threat for tornadoes. We're telling you guys is to be aware of any potential tornado warnings that go out later on this evening or in the overnight hours. It's not a high risk for tornadoes, okay? And so therefore, do not focus on just the tornado threat. There's a damaging wind threat. There's a hail threat that goes with this as well. So just keep that in mind at this point, guys. Timing on the page, okay? All the information you guys need is going to be on the page as well. It's not limited just to the live stream. We have all the information on the page. So take 5 seconds out, go on the page, take a look at the information at this point here. So let me see here at this time. Let me see here. Crazy question. No storms, do not know lines. But it's Pine Bluff at this point is 3 a.m. to 8 a.m. It's right on that line, and there's going to be a little bit of adjustment with this timing map here. Let me make sure this is the updated one because I did do one earlier, so stay by for just a bit. Let me make sure this is the current updated time frame here. But it's still relatively the same from earlier here, guys. Let me double check this real fast and make sure that this is the correct timing map for today. So, all right, I think, okay, so this is the one. For some reason, it got misplaced with the other one here. So bear with me for just a second. Let me get this up. Okay, so this is the timing map here. For some reason, it got switched out with the other one here, but it's still relatively same for down there in southern Arkansas and in central Arkansas. Still looking at 6 p.m. for initiation, 9 p.m. by the time it starts making its way down to central Arkansas, and then southern Arkansas still 3 a.m. to 7 a.m. As well here. So let me see here. Timing. Stacy, great question here. Will that improve or make the situation worse? So it's showing that the timing could be right around 4 to 6 p.m. Timing, whenever you're dealing with severe weather, the earlier it is, the more instability you have to work with, and the worse the threat will be. Okay. The stigma with overnight threats is that the instability lowers, so your severe threat lowers, which most cases are true. I have seen before where we've had overnight threats that have lasted to 4 o'clock in the morning, and we've had tornado warnings central. So that's why we tell you guys all the time to be aware during the overnight events, because you never know. Okay, the stigma is that the lower the instability is, the lower the severe threat is, which is 9 times out of 10 true. However, when you have shear to work with, and you have just a little bit of instability still there, you can still have severe weather during the overnight hours. So just keep that in mind. That's why we tell you guys all the time to keep your phones on at this point here, guys. So there's a lot of questions about the tornado threat. Let me reiterate this one more time. Do not focus on the tornado threat. The damaging wind threat and the hail threat is there as well. All right? There's going to be a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings. There could be even a couple of tornado warnings. All right? Do not focus on the tornado threat. Is everybody going to see a tornado? No. Is everybody going to see severe weather? No. The threat is there. The parameters are there. The environment is there for severe weather. It doesn't guarantee that you will see a tornado. We want you guys to be aware just in case it does happen. When warnings go out, you guys can react quickly and get to shelter, and that's how you save lives at that point. So, yes, we'll be live during storms always. Anytime severe weather rolls around, severe weather, tropical weather, winter weather, we're always live, okay? Let me see here. Just going to check everything else. I think that's it, guys. So for this is going to be a quick live. And then after this point, after this live, we're going to go straight into coverage mode. So if any live streams come up after this point, it will be for severe thunderstorm warnings or a tornado warning here, guys. So Let me see here. I think that's it for the questions. Mark, great point. Um, Apartment buildings, there will be guidelines in there what to do. Higher floors, whenever you're dealing with a tornado threat, tornado warning, you're in an apartment, you're in a higher floor, the better thing to do is to get to the lowest area because you want to get to the lowest area and you want to get away from the exterior walls. So most apartment buildings have areas designated for tornado safety. They have in most cases apartment buildings have that area for tornado shelter. So as Mark said, you can find that information really easily here. So great point, guys. Just a tornado threat. Don't focus on tornado threat. There's damaging wind threat with this as well. That can bring down power lines. You can still have damage with just damaging winds. You guys have seen that before where we've had a damaging wind threat and they still produce damage. So don't focus on just tornado threat. The damaging wind threat is there as well. So let me see here. All right. I think that is it at this point in terms of questions here. So just making sure I've gotten everybody. And guys, if I missed your question, I do apologize. I'm going through them right now here. So, oh yeah, and temperatures right now are warm. I told you guys this yesterday that temperatures was going to make a run for 90 degrees down there in southern Arkansas. And right now, I think we're still okay at this point. Okay, we're in the mid 80s down there in southern Arkansas at this time here. So, temperature's going to make a run down there for 90 today, especially in South Arkansas. The rest of the state should be in the low to mid 80s by the time the day is over with. So let me double check this real quickly here. All right. Okay, so for the Clinton area, all right, just making sure we're good to go. Clinton area, same thing. Central Arkansas. I'm gonna go back to our graphic real quickly here for the severe threat at this time here. So let me see here. Guys, you have any questions, let me know. Fayetteville is still under the gun, okay? This draws back to what I was saying before. Don't focus on the tornado threat, okay? Damaging wind threat is still there as well. Fayetteville is still under the enhanced risk, okay? The tornado threat is greater east of Fayetteville, but the enhanced risk is still there for the potential significant damaging winds. So keep that in mind. Nobody's under the gun, okay? Everybody has threat for severe weather, except for down there in southern and southeastern Arkansas. All right, so up there in northern Arkansas, you guys are still on the go for severe weather here. The cap at this point still relatively strong here, but should be eroding by the time we get towards this evening here. So double checking, making sure at this point. Okay, all right. So all right, Stacy, great comment. All right. Anything can happen with severe storms. I would definitely watch it. High winds could be just as a problem as dealing with the tornado threat here, guys. So I think that is it for questions here. I'm going to go back and reiterate the timing real quickly here. So give me 1 second. I'm going to switch back over to this real fast. All right. Okay, so we're going to go back over to our radar. I'm going to take this off the screen for just a second. Okay, so to reiterate the risk, okay, enhanced risk for much of Arkansas, from much of northern Arkansas down to portions of central Arkansas. I'm going to zoom this down so you guys can see the cities, okay? So from Fayetteville to Mount Home to Piggott and Biggers area to Jonesboro to Searcy to Clinton to Atkins, Russellville, Darnell area over to Fort Smith down to just north of Mena here. I think that includes Waldron down here as well here. So yeah, it does. It includes Waldron, includes Conway as well. So this area, not limited to just the tornado threat. The damaging wind and hail threat is there as well. The slight risk from Memphis to the Metro to Pine Bluff to the Queen to Mena. Okay, this is the area of concern that we'll have to watch as we get towards this evening and into the overnight hours, and then your margin risk down here in southern Arkansas. Now, tornado threat one more time. Okay, 2% down here in southern Arkansas from El Dorado up to Sheridan to Texarkana to just over here south of the DeWitt and Stuttgart area. Okay, the 5% for much of Arkansas. Okay, so We're talking from Jonesboro to Memphis to Little Rock to Mena, the Waldron area, Conway, the Mayflower area over towards Russellville, Darnell, up towards Fort Smith, the Van Buren area, towards Bentonville, towards Fayetteville up here in Northwest Arkansas. And in this area that you see in orange, okay, from Mount Home to Harrison to Melbourne to Marshall to Cherokee Village up here in north central Arkansas, far north central Arkansas, this is the entire tornado threat. This is where your tornado threat is hatched for the potential of seeing significant tornadoes up here in northern Arkansas, okay? Your wind threat, same thing. I'm going to zoom this out. This area that you see in the darker shade, that is where it's hatched for the potential of seeing significant damaging winds. So that goes from Mount Home down towards Leslie, down towards Mount Vic. Then your 30% from Fayetteville to Fort Smith to Russellville to Darnell area, Conway, Mayflower, Searcy, Jonesboro, all that area up here in northern Arkansas. That's the risk for damaging winds. So it's not limited to just a tornado threat, okay? It's the damaging wind threat that goes with this as well. And then the hail threat, okay? The hail threat, greater in northwest Arkansas, but still there for much of Arkansas at this point. And if I don't zoom down to a certain county, guys, you can find that information on the page, okay? We'll have all the information you need to know on the page here. So from northwest Arkansas, northeast Arkansas, down to southern Arkansas, that 5%, the low area for hail, mainly a tornado and wind threat by this point, by the time it gets through into central and the southern Arkansas, but we'll keep watch here. So just keep that in mind. Know your counties, guys. Okay, know your counties. Know where you stand. Everybody has a severe threat except for far southeast Arkansas. We're talking Ashley and Chico County. Those are the two counties down here that I'm considering that doesn't have a risk for severe weather. Everybody else, you have the threat for severe weather as we get towards this evening and into the overnight hours here. So, let me double check and make sure that we're good on questions here. What type of wind speeds are we looking at hatched here? 74 mile per hour winds or higher. That's what it stands for. That hatched area, that's what it stands for significant damaging wind gusts. And this tornado threat is for EF2 plus tornadoes. And by the way, that hatch risk does not go for weak tornadoes, by the way. It's for the higher end tornado threat. So that's why it's so important up there in the hail threat here, guys. So I think that's it for all the questions here. Let me double check and make sure. Okay. And yes, this will happen tonight, by the way, during the overnight hours here, guys. The timing information, guys. If you have timing questions, any questions you guys have, take 5 seconds and look at the page. We have all the information you need to know on the page here. While you're there, give us a like and give us a follow, okay? It's not limited to just a live stream. We have all the information you need to know on our physical page here, so be sure to look at our page here, guys. We cannot tell you guys that enough, all right? So I think that's it. Derek's family is fine, by the way. It's not me. It was Derek at this point. Derek is doing fine. He will be back on hand as we get towards this evening and into the night for severe weather coverage here. So I think that's it for everything, guys. All right. So we'll leave you guys off with this. We'll go back to our main threat. Okay. So enhanced risk for much of Arkansas, slight risk down there in south central Arkansas, and then the marginal risk for the southern half of Arkansas here. So we'll keep you guys updated. We'll keep you guys informed. Be sure to stay with us today, guys. Keep your phones on during the overnight hours. Keep them charged. What I would do right now is 1 o'clock in the afternoon. Make sure everything's charged, ready to go. Sit down with your family. Say, hey, if a tornado warning happens, know where to go when a tornado warning strikes, guys. All right? And know your county. Sit down with your family. Matter of fact, what you can do is sit down with your family and say, hey, this is where we are county-wise. If you hear this county go off in an alert, you need to take shelter. Okay, so that's what I would do right now. Sit down with your family, come up with a plan, say, hey, this is what we can do whenever there's a warning, etc., and then go from there. We will be available on Facebook, on YouTube, on Roku. We'll have all the information you guys need to know, all right? So if any warning goes out, we will be here, okay? On YouTube, I have fixed that little problem that was going on. I figured out the problem, the reason why no one was able to hit the notifications here. So what I would do is go on YouTube, create an account. It's very easy to create an account on YouTube. Subscribe to us on YouTube. That way, if you do not get the notification on Facebook, you get it on YouTube. That way, if we go live, it will be on YouTube as well here, guys. So it's an instant notification thing on YouTube. you guys know instantly when we go live here. So I think that's it for all the questions. Let me double check, make sure I didn't miss any guys, and also we'll come back in this live stream and answer questions at this point here, guys. So I think that's it. All right, that's it, guys. So we'll continue to keep you guys updated right here on your source for all things Arkansas weather.